The opinions expressed in this show are the views of the host and not necessarily that of WTRW, 94.3 The Talker, or the Bold Gold Media Group.
The following presentation is paid for by Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate, who is solely responsible for its content. Portions transcribed.
All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker of Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm here with my co-host and husband, fellow realtor, Pat Devaney.
Good morning, Jackie. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
We are with James Caceres, full-time bilingual associate broker.
Wow, that's a lot of titles.
Top producer, our number one performer in 2024, selling $7,152,434 worth of real estate. And since he became a realtor 3.5 years ago, he has sold over $15 million in real estate. You're fluent in both English and Spanish. So you offer something that is in demand these days. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here with us. We have an exciting show lined up and can't wait to talk to you about all of it. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m., where we speak real estate.
During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com, or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you go to jruddy.com, click on the webcam tab and see what's going on at Dunwall Corners. We get over 20,000 hits a month on that camera.
Wow, that's a lot.
Really?
View our listings, search the MLS listings, and listen to archive radio shows by going to mobile-friendly jruddy.com. That's jruddy.com, where we also have all the podcast apps that we feature this radio show on. And remember to check us out on social media. James Caceres, and I'm not finished.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Keeps going.
I'm going to keep going. In 2024, you received the Century 21 Emerald Award. That's for production. And you also received the Century 21 Quality Pinnacle Service Award. And the Pinnacle means that you received the Quality Service Award 2 years in a row with a 95% rating in performance and satisfaction. And that's a rating that was received by your clients.
That's right.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
So excellent work, James.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So what I want to talk to you about is there's a lot of words out there that are very confusing to our real estate clients, both sellers and buyers. And sometimes we're just going along saying what we need to say, and then there's this blank look, this, look on their face like, what are you talking about, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get that.
Yeah, we do. So let's start with the word escrow.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about that. Because in even different markets, that word takes on different meanings. Mm-hmm. But here, we're going to talk about real estate here, as it is in Lackawanna, Luzerne, Pike, Wayne, Monroe, and the Poconos. We'll talk about what it means to all of the realtors here and should mean to the public.
Okay.
Escrow.
Okay.
How would you define that to your real estate clients?
So what I tell clients is escrow is a deposit that you're putting when you make an offer. And if your offer gets accepted, we have a certain amount of time to bring that deposit. And once the listing agent receives that deposit, normally they put the property in pending status. So this way, other potential buyers can't go and take a look at that property or make an offer because it's already under contract. A lot of times when I speak with clients and they hear escrow, and well, I use it in the term escrow deposit, they automatically think, okay, if I'm writing this offer, I got to give you the money right now. And, I let them know, like, that's not the case. Let's wait until that offer gets accepted, and then we have that time frame to get that.
Yes, and our contracts allow for if another number isn't put in there, but our contracts do allow for 5 days.
Correct.
for delivery of that escrow deposit. So who holds the escrow deposit?
Well, that depends. It can be the listing office. Certain companies out there don't hold escrow, so they'll ask either your brokerage to hold escrow or the title company.
Right. Now, here's where we get into the weeds.
Oh, no, not the weeds.
If a real estate broker is holding the escrow deposit, that real estate broker, no matter who it is, this working for the seller or the buyer, has rules that they have to follow.
Yes.
From the real estate commission.
Yes.
Strict rules as to how it can be
handled and what
Right.
accounts it's got to be put into. And
Right.
certain things about it.
Right.
That's not always the case for title companies and attorneys. They're not governed by the same rules we are
That's correct. And a lot of title companies won't hold escrow.
for that reason.
Yes.
Right.
They don't
'cause-
want the responsibility.
Right. So there's like a lot of times the public thinks, okay, well, the deal is terminated, give me back my money. But sometimes if there's a dispute and the two parties don't agree with who gets the money,
Right.
sometimes the seller feels entitled to that money.
Yes.
And if that, no matter, and so we're not referees. We can't argue for one party over the other. So we have to hold that money if a dispute arises. So if seller says, I want that money, and buyer says, no, I want my money back,
Right.
there has to be some sort of release and forfeiture that occurs in terms of who gets what
Right.
in writing.
Yes. Always in writing. Everything
Yes.
always has to be in writing.
So when it's a matter of a legal perspective has to decide who gets the money, people need an attorney,
Right.
so because contractually, if the buyer's in default, they're really not entitled to that money,
That's true.
right? So the seller could
so default is
just change in their mind.
just changing their minds, right?
There
So
were
what-
no
but
contingencies
oh,
in
the
the
contingencies, right? Okay, that's
There
For
were-
whatever reason,
right.
right?
But there's contingencies that if they're not met, then the money should be returned. Correct?
It says in the contract.
Right, what's defined in the contract.
Yeah, but what if a seller doesn't agree with that?
Oh my God, no! I've never heard of such a thing as that's.
Well, if the seller doesn't agree with it, at that point, they shouldn't have signed the contract, right?
Right. That's all. James sits down with somebody. He's down with a buyer. He spends time going through the contract and explaining everything in the contract, especially the part about deposits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I tell them, I always recommend getting an inspection. God forbid anything is wrong with the property and you decide you don't want to move forward for whatever reason. It's going to cost you too much to make those repairs. You decide you want to get out of the contract. You have all right to get out of that contract and get your deposit back.
Okay.
And it says so on the agreement of sale.
Right. Seller still could say, I don't agree. Right? But then there's a paragraph in the agreement of sale that covers that.
Right.
So after a certain period of time, then if the buyer still feels entitled to their money, contractually they didn't get their financing or it was because of inspections and there was a contingency of that, they write the broker who's holding the deposit money a note, a letter stating they want their money back. That
Right.
broker has to release it to the buyer. And then the seller still feels entitled to that money. They could go to arbitration or they could take it to a magistrate. But let me just make a point here. As a broker, when there's a dispute, and we have very few disputes, thank goodness,
Right.
right? But when there's a dispute, I have to say, I do not want to be holding anybody's money. It doesn't benefit me in any. In fact, it creates a lot of agita.
Yeah. Yeah. They look at you as the bad person who doesn't want to give them their money back.
Right. Well, I can't if there's two people that say they get it. Right. So
we have to have an agreement.
Right. So
That's more of the exception than the rule, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But it happens.
Yeah, everything happens. Yep.
Yeah.
So we just like to explain to people out there. We hold these deposits. We're governed by strict rules, and this is what we have to do. But a lot of people. So in some areas, when the house is sale pending and under contract, they call it in escrow.
An escrow, right? I've
You
seen
know,
that,
so
yeah.
and that's in Pennsylvania. You know, some not too far from here. That in areas such as like the Philly area, they'll say, "Oh, it's an escrow," and it took me a little while to. What does that mean? You know,
Right.
Is that like an Amish term or something?
But I even often find, though, when people call in about a house or email us and ask us about it for information or if they want to see a property, and somebody responds, "Oh, it's under contract," sometimes that throws the buyer, too. They don't know that that necessarily means sale pending.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the under contract is something that people can hear and say, not sure what that means.
Sale pending.
Sale pending.
Sale pending. Everybody understands that one.
Right.
Right. And I've been in situations where I tell someone, you know, that property is under contract, and they still ask, okay, well, can I still see it? You know, and I'm like, no, you can't do it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, you guys we deal with it every day. It's no big deal. That's why Jackie's like I think she should have been a school teacher, you know, because she's like so smart. She knows everything.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you. Well,
if you got
thank
a
you.
question, you go in and ask her. She knows.
That's true.
Let me
and
ask
then
you
she'll
something.
quote you what line in the contract it is, and I feel really dumb.
No. What did you do? You're sweet talking me. What did you do? You're up to something.
I bought another car.
Are you buying
myself.
another car? Or
No,
garage?
I'm good. No, I'm good. No, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Why are you laughing at, James?
He's up to something.
Yeah, I think so, James. You know him too, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, how about pre-approval versus pre-qualification? There's two different meanings, and those words sometimes are thrown around, and people don't understand.
James, you better get this right because she's got a red pen over there.
Yeah,
She's got
right.
nice
I
marks.
see her crossing stuff
Yeah.
out. So, pre-qualified means that the buyer has met certain qualifications in order to, I guess, start the process for pre-approval.
A rough estimate.
Right. And a pre-approval is once the lender has, I guess, reviewed their actual documents and seen their credit score and what they actually can be approved for a loan, what amount.
And a lot of times buyers confuse appraisal and home inspection. They're two different
man.
functions.
I had this discussion the other day. Yes, they do.
All right, let's explain it. Explain it.
Break it down for us,
Break it down
James.
for us.
So an inspection it's not obligated. It's up to the buyer whether or not they want to get the home that they plan to purchase inspected.
Right. This is going to be the biggest purchase of my lifetime. Why would I get it inspected?
Well, you want to make sure that the house is structurally
Correct.
right. You want to make sure that everything
Why would
is intact.
anybody not do that? All right, that's a story.
Well, that's why
a
we
story
always
for another day.
we always recommend it. But you know, you have buyers that don't want to spend the money for whatever reason, you know, and then God forbid something happens, it's going to cost them more later on.
They're going to come in and look at the structure. They're going to look at the electric. They're going to say, "What can?"
Right. Well, everything looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise, surprise. You know, all those houses that were purchased, you know, during the height of COVID and post-COVID, immediately following COVID, and they were all cash, no inspections, so on and so forth. I've just read that the biggest regret that those buyers had,
Inspections.
surprise, surprise,
Yeah.
they waived inspections.
Yeah. And we were losing out on a lot of deals because of that. A lot of deals. We had clients putting in, you know, $5,000, $10,000 over asking price with inspections. Somebody comes giving them what they want, no inspections. They got it.
Right. And then there was realtors recommending that.
I've heard that too. Yes.
Yeah, which...
Yeah. So the appraisal is when the lender sends their appraiser to evaluate the property and let you know what the property compared to other properties similar are worth.
Right. And the people in these roles are different people. An appraiser is somebody that requires so much education, so many classes,
Yes.
a national test, a state exam, and then has to be licensed by Pennsylvania and is certified. So,
Correct.
and they could be, there's different There's a general appraiser who can appraise commercial and residential. And then there's the certified residential appraiser who can only appraise 1 to 4 units.
Correct.
So these are people that are licensed, and they could do private appraisals when people want to know home values for whatever reason, divorce, estate, when somebody passes, or for a lender.
Correct.
Refinancing, first mortgage, what have you. And so and then the inspector, who is also somebody who's trained, but they don't have to be licensed.
Oh, I thought they had to be licensed.
No, they have to be a member of an association, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
a national association. So they do have to be in good standing.
Okay.
And they have had training. And usually a lot of inspectors that we've come across have a background in construction or was a contractor or builder or some, of the trades.
Correct.
They usually have a good amount of a good foundation, a strong foundation and background to support their inspection role. So those are 2 different types of people and 2 different functions in the real estate transaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So escrow, let's go back to escrow versus title. A lot of people think those words are the same, but they're not. So a title company is somebody, or a title for a property is legal proof that you own a home. There's a title company that can issue title insurance and does a title search.
Yes.
And then escrow is a neutral third party that holds the money and the documents. And that would be the real estate broker in most situations.
Correct.
Okay. How does earnest money differ from a down payment? Because people think that the money that they give for a deposit is the same as their down payment.
Yeah, I can see that. So earnest money is the same as escrow, pretty much. Again, that's the deposit that you initially offer when you make your offer. And if it gets accepted, then, you have a certain time frame to bring that. Your down payment is based on your pre-approval with the lender, what they're requiring for you to put as a down payment towards your purchase of the home. So whether it's 3%, 3.5%, 5 or 10, 20% down payment towards whatever your loan amount is.
Do you find that a lot of people still think that 20% is required down? Because that was the case many, many years ago. But sometimes I come in contact with people that say, do I need 20% down?
I haven't come across a lot of that. What I get more is first-time home buyers that are confused with their pre-approval, whether it's conventional or FHA. Like, they don't understand the difference. But as far as like down payment, it seems like everyone wants to put the least amount down. But what they don't realize is the less money you put down on a home, the more your mortgage payment is. And the more you put down, then the less and the more equity you have in the home. The more, if you put 20% down, you don't have that PMI.
Private mortgage insurance.
Correct. And, if you put...
That's huge.
Yeah, that adds up,
And FHA, it doesn't go away anymore, right?
No, it used to go away.
It doesn't go away anymore.
Now you're stuck with that. So.
Forever. Even when you go past the 80 to 20% loan to value.
Yeah, you used to be able to have an appraisal show that you had that, and then it was removed. But
right.
no
Right. It
more.
was wiped off after 15 years or so.
Right.
So
after a lifetime.
Yeah.
do you find that sometimes sellers say closing costs, I don't have any closing costs because I'm the seller? I would come across that.
Closing costs because...
They're the seller. The buyer has the closing costs. I don't have the closing costs. I'm the seller.
No, I haven't had a situation like that.
I have. And a lot of times sellers don't think they have closing costs. But if they have a realtor, the compensation
Right.
is part of their closing costs.
Right.
If they have an attorney, which is something we strongly urge, suggest, recommend, everybody have an attorney.
Yes.
For a lot of different reasons. But it's pennies spent, and it's very wise to have somebody represent them legally
Right,
in a
peace of mind.
transaction that is one of the largest assets that they're selling in their lifetime, right?
Right.
And purchasing. I believe the buyer should also have an attorney.
Yeah, I always recommend it.
Oh, absolutely.
How many times at the 11th hour has something come up that requires an attorney, a legal perspective to iron out?
Several times.
A lot.
In the last 3 years, yeah. It's happened more often.
And then when you call the title company, they say, oh, we don't do that.
They can't.
No, they can't. They're not attorneys.
Right. Nor are we.
Right. We can't handle it either.
Right.
So
So
they think they're saving money, but they're really
Yeah.
not.
I mean, for an extra 100 or 200, it's worth having an attorney.
agreed.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Okay. So do you find that sometimes buyers confuse closing costs and down payment? They think it's one and the same?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, I've had situations where they don't understand that their down payment is included in the closing costs. They think, okay, well, I got to pay this amount, and then I have the closing costs. Let's say that my down payment is $7,000, my closing cost is $10,000. They think they need $17,000 altogether. So we got to try to explain that to them.
With us today is James Caceres, full-time bilingual associate broker with Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate, our top producer, number one performer in 2024. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
I can be reached at 570-352-7106, or they can email me at enj.century21@gmail.com.
Pat?
We have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home at 838 George Street in Troop for $215,000. This home sits on a large, it's 258 by 215 by 141 parcel of land. It's a spacious home. It has a large kitchen, beautiful woodwork, 3 full floors of living space. There's off-street parking for 4 cars. This home has a newer roof, a newer boiler. It's got PEX plumbing throughout the home. And it also has low taxes of only $2,500 a year. That's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home at 838 George Street in Troop for $215,000. And that's listed by Debbie Kohut of our office.
Thank you, Pat. Who's our special sponsor this week?
Our sponsor this week is the Concord Suites in Avalon, New Jersey. Are you looking for a summer or early fall getaway? You can experience the best accommodations at the Concord Suites in Avalon, New Jersey. The suites feature a kitchen, a living room with a queen sofa bed, a full bathroom, and a private bedroom with 2 queen beds. It's the perfect place for family getaways. They have 2 pools. They have a restaurant on site. It's near downtown Avalon and Stone Harbor, and it's only 1 block from the beach. This is a prime spot with easy access to the boardwalks, amusement parks in Wildwood and Ocean City. Avalon is exit 13 on the Garden State Parkway. They're just 10 miles from Cape May and 30 miles from Atlantic City. There's golf courses, casinos, wineries, breweries, and distilleries, and great restaurants. The Concord Suites combines the comfort of a condominium with the amenities of a hotel. Book now and feel right at home. They look forward to seeing you. It really is a nice place. We went there when my son was young. It's a beautiful place. And beginning in September, from September 2nd through the 26th, check in any Sunday or Monday, stay 3 nights, and get the 4th night free. This does not include weekends. So give them a call at 609-368-7800. That's 609-368-7800. Or visit concordsuites.com.
Hold on for more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate at 94.3 FM The Talker. We'll be right back. Are you ready to make your next move in the world of real estate? Look no further than Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate, your trusted partner in buying and selling homes. If you're a homeowner looking to sell, Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate will ensure you get the best possible price in today's competitive market. And if you're in the market to buy your dream home, Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate will help you find the perfect place to call your own.
Congratulations.
We've adopted the popular saying, an educated consumer is our best customer. That's why since 2010, we've hosted the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate Saturdays at 11 a.m., Sundays at 11:30 a.m. on 94.3 The Talker. Visit jready.com. That's JRUDDY.com or call 570-344-6724. Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate, where dreams find their address. Back in action here on the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with my husband, fellow realtor Pat Devaney.
Yes, and today I'm going to steal something from an old New York commercial. Cy Sims, he used to say, an educated consumer is our best customer. And we're getting educated here today.
Yes, that's nice. We are with James Caceres, full-time bilingual associate broker who has sold over $15 million in real estate since the start of his career 3.5 years ago. He is our top producer, our number one performer back in 2024, selling in just 2024 alone. You sold $7.1 million. Yeah. Excellent. Yep. And you're a Quality Service Award winning realtor, and you're also an Emerald Award winner.
Is that the St. Patrick's Day Award?
Oh,
no, it's not. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
No, what is it?
Emerald.
Okay.
Yes, the stone, the green stone.
Yes, I know exactly what it is.
Okay. All right, those are the Century 21 awards that James received in 2024. So we were talking about words that confuse clients, sellers, and buyers that we often have to break down and try to help them understand what they mean. A lot of times we're just throwing those words around and we cause confusion. But before the break, we were talking about private mortgage insurance, right? PMI. Yes. Mm-hmm. Do you find that sometimes buyers especially confuse PMI, private mortgage insurance, with title insurance or even homeowners insurance?
More with homeowners insurance. And what I try to explain to them is that it's two different things. The PMI is more because if you're putting a less down payment, and it's more insurance on the loan, right? And so once you build that up to a certain amount, well, before it would go away. Now,
now when it reaches the 80%, that just stays there.
That's it. Yeah. So the only way to really get rid of that and not have it at all is by putting 20% down.
Which a lot of people do not have, in addition to closing costs.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And,
well, you could refinance, right? Well, if you refinance, say you're below say you got 70% loan to value and you still had the PMI, you could refinance the home and make the PMI go away?
Conventional.
Right. Conventional. Not on FHA.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. FHA, I think you're stuck with that.
You're stuck with it for
yeah.
forever.
But once again, you have to fight. You got to go through all these hoops. Mm-hmm. So if you can swing the 20% down in addition to closing costs, always a good idea. How about quickly one more thing? Seller's assist, seller's concession, seller credits. That confuses sellers and buyers.
Yes, it does. Seller's assist and seller's concessions is more like money that the seller helps the buyer with towards their closing costs.
So it's a credit, and it's not something that they have to write a check for or give them cash. It's a credit from the sales price.
Correct. So if a seller has a contract with the buyer for, let's say, $200,000, and that buyer needs $10,000 towards their closing costs, then the seller would get the $190,000, and $10,000 of that would be going towards that buyer's seller's assist towards their closing costs. But that would get tacked on to that buyer's loan. So it's less money that they're coming out of pocket now, but it's being added to their loan.
Right. So they're going to be paying for that over the life of the loan.
Correct.
Right. Okay. It's assistance with the buyer's closing costs.
Yes.
We had a great show with you, James. Would you come back next week?
Absolutely.
How does someone get in touch with you?
They can reach me at 570-352-7106 or by email at enj.century21@gmail.com.
Thanks for tuning into the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate on 94.3 FM. The Talker will be back next Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m.